Ho ho ho, everyone! Welcome to. I guess this is a holiday special? Sure, this is a holiday special, everyone. Happy Christmas and all that. Today, I will not be reading an SCP. I think for the holidays, given the content of the files with me, I think we could all have a bit of a break from all that stuff and instead read a nice Christmas tale. Alright, everyone, get cozy as I shall read How the Grinch Stole Christmas to you all, or, to be more accurate, my AI, Slava. Well, do that because I do not read Christmas stories. Anyways, I got some important things to do, so enjoy Slava telling you all a nice tale.
Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, do not ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all is that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But, for whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm-lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow he knew all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding, and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then he'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, they'd stand close together with Christmas bells a-ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more he thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years now I've put up with it. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? The Grinch got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. And he chuckled, and he chuckled. What a great cringy trick! With this hat and coat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there are none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog, Max, and then took some red thread and tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh and hitched up old Max. And then the Grinch said, Giddy up! And the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Whos lay a-snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were dreaming sweet dreams without care. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, so could the Grinch. He only got stuck once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where all the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant. Around the whole room he took every present. Popguns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And then he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed up all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was no more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But, you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, and then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. He patted her head, and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. On the one speck of food he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn. All the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, their ribbons, their wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings and the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode his load to the tip-top to dump it. "Po, po to the Who's," he was grinchily humming. "They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo." "That's a noise," grinned the Grinch, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so. But it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing, without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and to the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.
Alright, was that it? Yeah, I think that's the end of the story. Thanks, love, for telling the tale. To be honest, I don't really get Christmas. I don't have anyone to talk to or share gifts with, so my Christmas consists of me taking the day off to listen to Christmas music, but what was stopping me from doing that in the first place? Do you know what? Never mind. Happy holidays, everyone. Have a time of day or whatever. And goodbye.